call for children to have lessons in how to vote at 16 in UK elections. I'm going to read into this story more from The Independent, you guys. So teachers will be asked to leave their politics at the classroom door in order to make sure pupils are not swayed on how to vote. Okay, so this there's a couple of caveats here. So how can you ask a teacher to talk about UK elections and not talk about the politics? Because the people in the classroom will be asking the questions about the teacher's preferences in politics. They will ask those questions. So I suppose the teacher is going to be under pressure to basically say they can't tell them. They're basically saying they can't say where their preference is. I'm not sure if that's the... I get the not being swayed on the vote. I get that, but it's very, very difficult. Now on this kind of thing for calling for children to have lessons in how to call the 16 election. Like, of course, I welcome this idea, but where is the welcoming of wanting to teach our children about finances, about banking, about looking money? Why are we not why are we not having calls for that instead? Because for me, that's much of a better lesson that should be taught to children rather than voting, because children learning how to manage manage money can make them far better for themselves in society, especially in a changing environment where every single penny that is in your bank account really, really, really does matter. That's something that for me should be something taught in schools. Talk about finances, talk about accounting, talk about how to manage a bank account, manage your money, and how to use it. That's something that should be taught in schools. Yes, do I think this should be taught in schools? Yes, I do. But I think teaching children about finances, I think, is something that should be taught. Learning how to manage your money and understand the value of money, because children don't understand it at a young age. And I think if you teach them in the schools, they can end up being very, very valuable later on. They can end up being very valuable members of society later on in life. Now, obviously, asking for this when, respectfully, teachers already have enough on their plates as it is. I don't think anyone can debate that. And I'm sure teachers in the comments below can speak for themselves on this. But I'm pretty confident that teachers already have enough on their load as it is. And obviously, it's about, you have to make the time for this as well. So where do you make the time to teach children for this as well? That's another thing as well. I mean, isn't this something that parents could teach? Like, you get given a postal vote, you get given a vote, and you get cast a ballot, you get tick a box, and you tick a box on which politician you like. The thing is, I'm just not sure. Like, I suppose that they're going to be the premise of this is to teach them the electoral system and how it works. I suppose is what it's about. Is what they want to do here. I'm like I'm not 100% on it. So children will need to be given democracy lessons in the schools from the age of 11 to help prepare them for the vote at age 16. The head of the UK's election watchdog has said democratic education will be rolled out to those age 14 over first, said Vijay Rangarajan, the chief executive of the Electoral Commission, but added that this will need to be expanded to make sure young people are ready to cast their votes. Okay, so they're planning on doing this either way. They also said teachers will be asked to leave their politics at the classroom door in order to make sure students get the broadest understanding of the political system and are not swayed on how to vote. That's going to be very... I don't care what teachers, whether they're politically left or right or centre or whatnot. That's going to be politically difficult because children will be asking questions about their political views on that. Speaking to The Guardian, Mr. Rangarajan said, "We're going to need teachers to be really good at leaving their own personal views a bit at the door here and making it clear when they've got personal views, it's just personal views." Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to do that. He said educators really need to know good material and some guidance on how you can teach this stuff well, ensuring that there are wide-ranging debates about engaging political issues as well as the mechanics of how the system works. I can see quite a few political parties have concerns about partiality, so we're spending a lot of time on how we make sure the material is really impartial, he added. I can see Reform UK getting involved in this, and speaking of, it comes after Reform UK's Nigel Farage claimed schools and universities are full of left-wing prejudge and anti-reform bias. There is absolutely no evidence to this whatsoever. A poll of 6,000 teachers conducted by TeacherTapp indicated that more than 80% do not believe the national curriculum adequately preparing young people to be able to vote at 16. Mr. Raj said that the government has learned lessons from the Scottish independent referendum, which gave 16 and 17-year-olds the power to vote, but said democratic education was not good enough at the time to support it. The main lesson that we took was it was extremely patchy in schools in Scotland, and that's why we're working on the education stuff really early on, he said. A lot of teachers said we don't want to engage in the run-up to the Scottish referendum, which was really quite sensitive, so teachers needed some support. It was announced in July at the next general election that will see 16-year-olds being able to vote for the first time as a part of wide-ranging plans to modernise our democracy, minister said at the time. Labour's manifesto committed the party to lowering the voting age for parliamentary elections to 16 in line with Scottish and Welsh elections, with plans announced earlier this summer to go further in an effort to increase participation in elections. Ministers have proposed introducing automatic voter registration, which is already used in Australia and Canada, making the UK issue bank cards an accepted form of ID at polling stations. The Ministry of Housing, Community and Local Government has said far too many people have been put off voting by the voter ID rules introduced by the previous government, with the Electoral Commission finding around 750,000 people did not vote as a due for lack of voting ID. Then scrap it, because there's no voter fraud in our elections. So Keir Starmer said it was important to lower the voting age as 16-year-olds were old enough to work and paying through tax, so they should have the opportunity to say how they want their money spent. But a poll of 500 16 and 17-year-olds conducted by ITV News by Maryland Strategy found only half said they should be allowed to vote, and only 18% said they would definitely vote. Labour stood to gain the most, with 33% saying that they would back the party, while 23% said they would choose Reform and 18% would choose the Greens. Naomi Smith, Chief Executive of campaign group Best for Britain, said the change was a brave choice set to benefit generations to come, and urged political parties to do more to win votes of the UK's young people. But in the Commons, Conservative Shadow Community Minister Paul Holmes accused the government of being hopelessly confused about the age of majority. He said, why does this government think a 16-year-old can vote but not be allowed to buy a lottery ticket, alcohol, drink, marry, or go to war, or even stay in elections that they're voting in? These things are a little bit different. It's a little bit different. These are not the same things. Being able... bit of a stupid analogy, but fine, you want to go with it. Government spokesperson said pupils already taught from democracy and elections as part of an actual curriculum from age 11, and it can be taught in primary schools. Getting your young people involved in democracy from its early age is crucial. To build their lifelong participation in elections as part of our seismic reforms to give 16-year-olds the vote, we will consider what is taught in schools further in light of the recommendations from the Independent Curriculum and Assessment Review. So, I do think, this does, okay, look, obviously I use the analogy of, I want children to learn about finances, but obviously that's a subject for another day. But in terms of this, I don't have a problem with children being taught this. For me, it's just like can teachers cope? Can teachers be able to take this on board while teaching other things? And if teachers say yes, they can, then they're fine. If they're taught earlier, the sooner they're taught about this, the better, I would say, for kids. If it will benefit them, of course. But obviously the whole problem is obviously about how not being swayed is going to be big problematic. I think it's the biggest problem when it comes to this, for teachers to not be able to try not to show their bias as well when talking about political parties as well. It's going to be interesting as well, because obviously kids will express different opinions and different thoughts, and obviously as a teacher you've got to be careful of what you say, because you don't want to give any indication that you're thinking or voting a certain, or you're thinking or favourable a certain political way, because it just feeds into the narrative of Nigel Farage and Reform, that they're anti-reform in school, which there's no evidence to suggest that claim in any way, shape or form. Nigel Farage just says it's happening, but there's no evidence for it. So, but they're gonna make that claim either way. What do you guys honestly think? What do you guys make of calls for children to have lessons in how to vote at 16 in UK elections? Let me know your thoughts and more on this subject down in the comment section below. If you found this video interesting and informative, please hit that like button, share it across social media, subscribe if you haven't to already. Do check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. And if you want to financially support me and the work that I do here, you can click the join button down below to become a YouTube member for as little as 99p. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.